I'm Ken Meixel.
And I'm Rita Christie.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a great day to be in Central Florida, a great day to be alive. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Yes.
You know, this past week we have been out at the Global Pastors Network Conference at Faith Assembly.
And haven't so many people attended?
It's been overflow crowds.
Yes, and Mayor Giuliani was there, and so many other wonderful people have come in this area, so it's going to be an exciting time whenever we're able to share all of the wonderful interviews that have been taken there.
We had some great interviews, so we'll be watching that on upcoming programs. On today's program, we're going to be talking with two sets of guests.
That's right.
First, Ray Hall, who's going to be telling us about a national prison book project. Then Rick, Jill, and Lindsay Dye are going to be here to talk about, they call it the silver ring thing.
That's right. Maybe we'll just leave it at that and make you wonder, what is the silver ring thing?
That's right. And so we'll be talking with them in just a few moments here. Ray Hall is a 23-year veteran of the U.S. Air Force. He worked on the Titan 1, 2, 3, 34D, and 4 programs at Cape Canaveral until he retired in 1994. Since then, he's been involved in a prison book project. And Ray, good to have you back with us today.
Yes.
It's good to be here.
You've been a busy man all your life, haven't you?
Tell us about how you got the vision for doing this book project in the prisons.
Well, Ken, I think we're running out of time. And if we look at the going into prisons to visit, there's a lot of good work being done with that. But it's more effective. There's got to be a better system. And we did some study. A book will be read by at least 30 people if it's placed in a sharing environment.
Really?
And the average reading time for a book is 8 hours. 30 times 8 is 240 man hours. That's 6 weeks worth of full-time ministry. So that's a more effective way to do it. And that's the way we got started, trying to be effective. And Jesus taught a lot with parables. So we've used a lot of fiction to teach just like he did.
Yes.
And one of the things that we started out trying to do is to be clever and use clean westerns. You know, it turned into other things, but the clean westerns, a good guy wins and a bad guy turns into buzzard bait.
That's
you know?
right. That's right.
And you know, that's a lesson that they can learn. The good guy, he gets the prettiest horse and the fastest woman and the prettiest, no. You know what I'm saying, you know?
But he wears a white hat.
He wears a white hat. And the bad guy gets gut shot and falls off his horse.
That's right.
Now, so, you know, that's the way we started, and we would go around to garage sales after we finally managed to finagle and politic and get into the jail. We would go around to garage sales and pay 25 cents a piece for books. And we kept running into Christian books. I said, well, that won't do any harm either. We'll just take that too. So every Monday morning, I'd go down to the jail with 2 little bags of books. After about 3 or 4 weeks, they invited me to come down and take a tour. This is Brevard County Jail. And took me in a little room, and the room had shelves in it along 3 walls. Books were stacked in those shelves 3 deep. And I looked at the books. 95% of them were Harlequin-type romance books. And the 5% were murder mystery things, and that didn't seem appropriate. You know, when I started out, my goal was to deliver 1,000 books in 2 years. And when I saw how serious the problem was, we reassessed what we needed to do. And I wrote a church bulletin insert. We went around to a bunch of churches, and a few of them agreed to help. And so we were off and running. And finally, you know, it started. I had to take a truckload down every week, you know, with books. After 3 years, the Lord impressed on me that I shouldn't be keeping count. I should be keeping, you know, giving him the credit instead of me taking the credit. So I drew a line in my book. And I'd been trying to get Christian westerns from one company. And when I drew that line in that book, the very next day, this other company wouldn't send me any books. I'm used to paying a quarter for a book, see? And if you went to a bookstore to buy those books, they'd cost you $12. Okay?
Yeah.
The next day, they called me and said, Mr. Hall, we got 20,000 books. Do you want them?
Wow.
And the next day, another company that I'd been trying to get, a couple of books from, called me up and said, we got 5,000 books. Do you want them? And it hasn't stopped. We just...
Ray, how do you get the books to the prisons themselves?
We have to send most of it through the mail. Occasionally a chaplain, we had one chaplain came all the way from Utah and picked up books, but most of the time we send them through the mail. It costs about $15 now to mail a box with 65 books in it. And our analysis of how many books are there and the readership and the hours and all that, each box that we send out will do 7.5 years of ministry.
Wow. We have a video running now showing the boxes the books being processed there in the warehouse. So there's a lot of work that goes into it after you get the books, isn't it?
Tons of work.
Ray, are these all volunteers?
All volunteers.
Yes.
We have no paid staff. And we stamp every book that goes out so that the people will write to us instead of bugging the publishers. We've had more than 31 Christian publishers helping. Some of them no longer do it, but others picked up the slack. I just unloaded last Friday afternoon after 5 o'clock, and I was there by myself. 3 tons of books that Grant Jeffrey sent to me.
Yes.
We unloaded a ton yesterday from Crossway. We've got 3 tons coming in Friday from Dave Hunt. And sometime in the first part of next week, we'll have 6 pallets or 6 tons coming in from Tyndall House.
I noticed you had some books there from T.D. Jakes, and he has a tremendous impact in the prisons, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
We just got 15 tons from Distant Image, which, most of his stuff is being published. Pneuma Life publishes some of his stuff also.
Well, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Ray about more of the opportunity he has now to expand this from Central Florida into other prisons throughout the country.
Yeah.
So stay tuned right after this short break. And welcome back to today's family. We're talking with Ray Hall today, and he has a ministry of sharing the gospel through books in prisons throughout Central Florida. Now, actually, Ray, throughout the country.
Throughout the world.
With the world? How many different prisons are you sending books to now?
It's hard to keep track of this, okay, because some of the places cluster. And we send them to one place, and they send them out to various other places. One place in California sends it out to 20 different places. And we just found out a place in Arizona. Yesterday we found it, that they send to 3 different places.
Now we have a map here that shows the places in red there. Looks like you've got the state of Florida just about covered, Ray.
Well, that's where we started. You know, so we sent books to every place in Florida, and then started marching across the country, and there she goes.
That is a tremendous amount of opportunities for people to hear about Christ, Ray. That is awesome.
Well, thank you.
It really is.
Well, we're doing more than 1,100 prisons and jails now. That we can count, on my fingers and toes. They're trying to do some stuff with computers and things like that. But I'm computer illiterate, so I still use my fingers and toes. But we've got more than 1,300 on a waiting list.
Really?
That we can't do because we just don't have the resources.
Right.
The warehouse is not big enough. The distribution center is not big enough. We don't have enough money.
So the need is there for more books, but also, when you box up a book in a box, how do you determine what goes into each one of those boxes?
Well, there's a variety of things. One, how much do we have, or which book do we have a whole lot of? We try to do that. But at the same time, and it happens over and over, when the Lord will just impress on me to put a particular book in a particular package, and we learned if we don't listen to him, we got to go back and take the book out because he'll bug me all night, and that's happened 3 or 4 times.
Well, how do you know that these books are changing lives, Ray?
We get tons of mail.
Do you?
Tons of mail. It's we wrote a little picture, but it's too late to do that. But there's another lady in there now keeping track of all these books, and it's nothing to get 50, 60 letters in a day.
Anyway, I know you brought some of the letters with you. There was a stack of them, and they were just given the response of what happened to them and how joyful they were to receive these books and how they changed their lives, aren't they?
Well, I wanted to share those with you.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, what are some of the greatest needs that you have? Do you need more volunteers to help? What's the greatest need you have?
We need more money. And I find it extremely difficult to ask for money. That's just not my thing. When I used to go out and give talks in churches, and people would go with me, they'd say, "Ray, you forgot to ask for money," after it was over. So money and we need space. We're working now doing all this with 3,000 square foot. We need probably 10 to 12. And that's like money too.
Yes, it is.
That's right. Well, if you'd like to be a part of this ministry, if you can have some hours to volunteer, you can contact Ray at area code 321-269-4100, and they're located 3880 South Washington Avenue, Suite 154 in Titusville.
That's right. Also, the website is prisonbookproject@earthlink.net.
And so if you can be a part of that, we just encourage you to do so.
Oh, email.
And that's the email, Prison
Yes, that was
Book
the email.
Project. And so if you need more information, you can call us here at the station also, 407-423-5200. Well, we thank you so much, Ray, for joining us today. And God bless you in all that you're doing here in Florida, but also now around the world.
Thank you.
Yes.
And we appreciate it very, very much.
We'll have to take a short break, and when we return, we'll have our next guest talking about the silver ring thing.